Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're zeroing in on a pretty unique piece of Universal Century hardware.
We are. It's the FF3F Recon Type Saberfish. You probably know it better by its nickname, though.
The Duckbill, right. Or Kamonohashi if you want the Japanese. Kind of see why with that nose.
Exactly. So our mission today is a quick intel brief. Why was this recon craft so important right at the start of the one-year war?
We've looked at, the usual suspects, Gundam wikis, official origin stuff, MAHQ, even model kit details.
Right, all pointing to how vital this thing became when Minovsky particles changed everything.
Okay, so UC00079, war breaks out, and suddenly radar is basically jammed across the board, fighting blind.
And that's the context you need for the Duckbill. It wasn't just another fighter. It was a direct answer to that problem, to Zeon's mobile suits appearing out of nowhere.
So it wasn't built from scratch then. It came from the standard Saberfish.
Yeah, the FF3F fighter. Hervik Company built both. And in the origin, Hajime Katoki handled the design. Very detailed, very practical feel.
So what made it a duckbill? What are the key differences?
Well, most obviously that big extended nose. That's where the advanced radar and sensors went.
Okay.
And unlike the regular Saberfish, which was a single-seater, this one had two seats. Tandem cockpit.
Pilot and a sensor operator.
Exactly. Plus, it had another sensor pod kind of tacked onto the back for, more coverage.
And critically, no guns.
Zero weapons. Totally unarmed. The whole design screamed information gathering over fighting. In that environment, against mobile suits, intel was everything.
Gotcha. So technically, it's still an FF3F, same model number as the fighter.
Yep. Code names. Duckbill. Kamonohashi. Unit type. Space reconnaissance fighter. Operator. Earth Federation Forces. Manufacturer. Hervik.
Size-wise, it's roughly like the standard Saberfish, about 20 meters long.
Around that, yeah, maybe a bit longer because of that nose modification. Specific details on, exact weight or dimensions for just the Duckbill are surprisingly hard to pin down.
Tells you something about its role, maybe, not the star player.
Probably. But the sensors are the main story. That radar dome, the search sensors front and back, that's what mattered. Vulnerable, sure, but vital.
So his main job was just seeing, scouting, finding the enemy, mapping the battlefield.
Pretty much. Advanced recon. And with Minovsky particles everywhere, you needed dedicated platforms like this. Couldn't fight, but the intel it gathered. That could make other Federation units much more effective.
An indirect force multiplier, then. A way to try and level the field against Zeon's mobile suits early on, using better information.
Absolutely. And think about that second crew member, the human radar operator. It highlights the tech level, You still needed human judgment to sort through all that complex sensor data.
We actually see it in action, don't we, in the origin, during a pretty major event.
Oh, yeah. The Battle of Loom. A huge disaster for the Federation early in the war.
And a specific unit was there, Duckbill 306.
That's the one. Piloted by Ensign Rio Jose, or maybe Cadet Rio Jose. Sources differ a bit on his rank there.
From White Base later on. So he flew this thing.
He did. With an unnamed sensor operator, they launched from a ship called the Falcon.
Which was a modified transport ship, right?
Yeah.
The Columbus class.
Yeah, basically a supply ship turned into a makeshift carrier. Not exactly ideal. Shows how the Federation was scrambling.
So Ryu's mission in the Duckbill at Loom, what was it?
Early warning. Trying to spot the main Zeon fleet before the battle really kicked off. A critical and incredibly dangerous job for an unarmed scout.
And did his report help? Or was it too late or ignored?
That's part of the tragedy of Loom, isn't it? Whether the intel got through, whether it was acted on. The outcome suggests it wasn't enough to prevent disaster. It really underlines the Federation's early struggles.
So Rio Jose, piloting this vulnerable recon craft in a massive battle. Quite the start to his military career.
Definitely shows his early skill and maybe why he ended up on the White Base. And his poor sensor operator, unnamed like so many support personnel. Crucial, but forgotten.
And the Falcon? Using converted transports like that just highlights the Federation's situation, doesn't it? Improvising, lacking dedicated carriers compared to Zeon.
Exactly. A Columbus could maybe carry, 8 Saberfish or so? Launching vital recon from a ship like that tells you a lot about the early war effort.
So, wrapping up, the Duckbill. Weird name, unique look, but actually pretty significant.
Totally. It's about intelligence gathering under impossible conditions, the Federation adapting on the fly, Rio Jose's backstory.
And it symbolizes that whole difficult transition for the Federation, facing mobile suits for the first time, the importance of these spiralized, maybe less glamorous units.
Couldn't have put it better. It's a testament to adaptation and the value of information.
Which brings us to a final thought for you. Think about today. Intelligence gathering is still absolutely critical, right? Even with satellites and drones. What overlooked, maybe seemingly vulnerable, assets are giving forces that crucial edge on modern battlefields. Something to chew on.
Good question. Lots to consider there.
Indeed. Okay, that's our deep dive for today. Join us next time for another exploration.